December 18, 1944. Elsenborn Ridge, Belgium. Captain Michael Whitman's successor, SS Lieutenant Colonel Ernst Barkman, adjusted his headset inside his Panzer VI Tiger II and smiled. Through his commander's cupola, he could see them clearly. 3 M4 Sherman tanks crawling along the muddy Belgian road, their 76mm guns looking pitifully inadequate against his behemoth's 150mm frontal armor. "American tin cans," he transmitted to his crew, his voice dripping with contempt. "Their shells will bounce off us like raindrops off a roof." The Tiger II, Germany's latest armored nightmare, weighed 68 tons and mounted an 88mm KWK 43L/71 gun capable of penetrating 200mm of armor at 1,000 meters. Against the Sherman's maximum 100mm frontal armor on the turret, it was a tiger against sheep. The mathematics of the encounter seemed simple, brutal, and inevitable. What Barkman didn't know, what none of the German tankers of the 501st Heavy Panzer Battalion understood that frigid December morning, was that one of those tin cans was crewed by 5 Americans who were about to rewrite the rules of armored combat. Staff Sergeant Lafayette, War Daddy Poole's crew in Sherman No. 223, call sign in the Mood 2, would accomplish something German tank doctrine declared mathematically impossible. Within 12 minutes, Poole's Sherman would destroy 9 Tigers and Tiger IIs, damage 3 more beyond repair, and break the back of a Panzer battalion that had terrorized Allied forces since Normandy. The engagement would force German armor theorists to reevaluate everything they believed about American tanks, American crews, and the nature of armored warfare itself. The story begins not in Belgium, but in the factories of Detroit, the training grounds of Fort Knox, and the gunnery ranges where American tank doctrine evolved in directions German theorists never anticipated. When the M4 Sherman first encountered German Tigers in Tunisia during 1943, the results confirmed every German prejudice about American armor. Tiger crews reported shooting through Shermans like stabbing butter with a hot knife. The Sherman's 75mm gun couldn't penetrate a Tiger's frontal armor even at point-blank range, while the Tiger's 88mm could destroy a Sherman at ranges exceeding 2,000 meters. Oberleutnant Otto Carius, one of Germany's top tank aces with 150-plus confirmed kills, wrote in his diary after encounter in February 1943, "The American Shermans are death traps. We destroy them so easily I almost feel pity. Almost. Their crews are brave, but their machines are coffins on tracks." German tank crews developed a crude formula. 1 Tiger equaled 5 Shermans. Some veterans claimed ratios as high as 1 to 10. These weren't empty boasts. Combat records from 1943 supported German confidence. At Kasserine Pass, German armor destroyed 183 American tanks, while losing only 14 of their own. But while German engineers rested on their lauritative superiority, American industry was evolving. The Sherman that Poole commanded in December 1944 bore only superficial resemblance to the 1943 models that had burned so easily in Tunisia. The M4A3E8 Easy 8 represented American industrial philosophy, continuous improvement through mass production and rapid iteration. Where Germany produced 1,347 Tiger tanks total across the entire war, America produced 49,234 Shermans, with each production run incorporating lessons from the battlefield. The Easy 8's improvements transformed it from prey to predator. The 76mm M1A2 gun, while not matching the Tiger II's 88mm in raw penetration, could penetrate 150mm of armor at 1,000 meters with HVAP ammunition, high-velocity armor-piercing rounds that could crack Tiger frontal armor if aimed precisely at weak points. The horizontal volute spring suspension provided stability that allowed accurate firing while moving, something German tanks couldn't achieve. The Sherman could fire effectively at 15 miles per hour, while Tigers had to stop completely. Wet ammunition storage, with ammunition racks surrounded by water jackets, dramatically reduced the Sherman's infamous tendency to brew up when penetrated. Survival rates increased from 15% to 85% for crews in wet stowage Shermans. Frontal armor increased to 100 millimeters on the turret, with additional applique plates bringing effective thickness to 140 millimeters at optimal angles. Still inferior to the Tiger II's 150 millimeters, but no longer hopeless. The Ford GAA V8 engine produced 450 horsepower, giving the 32-ton EZ8 a power-to-weight ratio of 14 horsepower per ton, compared to the Tiger II's 10 horsepower per ton. The Sherman could accelerate, maneuver, and reposition faster than any German heavy tank. But the most important improvement wasn't mechanical. It was doctrinal. While German doctrine emphasized the tank as a mobile artillery piece operated by a commander making all tactical decisions, American doctrine evolved toward the tank as a five-man fighting machine, where every crew member contributed to tactical awareness and decision-making. Staff Sergeant Lafayette Poole embodied this philosophy perfectly. Born in Odom, Texas, in 1919, Poole enlisted in 1940 and attended the Armored Force School at Fort Knox, Kentucky, where American tank doctrine was being revolutionized by officers who studied not just Guderian and Rommel, but also American football tactics, industrial assembly line efficiency, and even jazz improvisation. The American training emphasized speed over armor, the philosophy being don't get hit rather than absorbing hits. Maneuver mattered more than firepower, with position being more important than caliber. Crew coordination meant 5 men thinking faster than one commander thinking, and gunnery excellence meant the first accurate shot wins, not the biggest gun. Poole's crew had trained together for 18 months before seeing combat, 5 times longer than typical German replacement crews received by late 1944. They had fired over 10,000 practice rounds. They knew each other's movements, anticipated commands, functioned as a single organism. His crew consisted of Corporal Wilbert Willie Richards as gunner, a former carnival sharpshooter from Oklahoma who could estimate range by eye within 50 meters. His peacetime hobby was competitive trap shooting, where he'd learned to lead moving targets. Private First Class Homer Red Davis served as loader, a former ammunition plant worker from Kansas who could load the 76 millimeters gun in 3.2 seconds, a full 1.5 seconds faster than training standards. He knew the weight and balance of every shell type by touch. Technician 5th grade James Jimmy Tucker was the driver, a former stock car racer from Georgia who could make the 32-ton Sherman dance like a sports car. He'd studied the power-to-weight ratios and turning radiuses of every German tank. Corporal Andrew Andy Varich served as assistant driver and bow gunner, a former mechanic from Pennsylvania who could diagnose mechanical issues by sound and repair most problems under fire. He also operated the .30 caliber bow machine gun with devastating accuracy. Together with Poole, they had destroyed 258 enemy vehicles across 6 months of combat, from Normandy to Belgium. 21 tanks, 58 armored vehicles, and 179 trucks and support vehicles. They were the most successful American tank crew in the European theater, though few outside their battalion knew it. Poole's combat philosophy, shared with replacement crews during rare rest periods, was simple. The German tanker sits in his Tiger and thinks he's invincible. That's his weakness. We sit in our Sherman and know we're vulnerable. That's our strength. We move, we think, we shoot first, we shoot accurate. 5 men fighting beats, 1 man commanding. Hitler's Ardennes offensive, launched December 16, 1944, was designed to split Allied armies and recapture Antwerp, destroying the Allied logistics network. The offensive deployed Germany's last reserves, 200,000 men, 600 tanks, including the newest Tiger IIs, and the element of surprise. The Tiger II, called Königstiger or King Tiger or Royal Tiger, represented the apex of German armor design. With 150 mm frontal armor sloped at optimal angles, an 88 mm gun that could destroy any Allied tank at 3,000 meters, and psychological intimidation factor, it was designed to restore German armor dominance. German crews entering the Ardennes believed the Tiger II made them untouchable. The tank had never been penetrated frontally in combat. Allied anti-tank guns bounced off it. American Shermans couldn't hurt it even at point-blank range, or so intelligence reports claimed. SS Obersturmenführer Ernst Barkmann, commanding the 501st Heavy Panzer Battalion 2nd Company, had destroyed 43 Allied tanks since Normandy. His Tiger II, number 201, bore 43 white rings painted on its barrel, one for each kill. He'd never been seriously threatened by American armor. On December 18th, his company of 12 Tiger IIs was advancing along the Elsenborn Ridge, tasked with breaking through American positions and opening the northern route to Antwerp. Intelligence reported only scattered American resistance, infantry, anti-tank guns, and perhaps a few Shermans from the retreating 99th Infantry Division. Bachmann's orders were simple: break through. Destroy all resistance. The Americans are demoralized and retreating. Show them what German steel means. At 0847 hours, his column spotted 3 Shermans positioned near a wooded area 2,200 meters distant. The American tanks appeared to be covering a retreat route. It was exactly the type of encounter German doctrine had mastered. Use superior range and armor to destroy the enemy before they could effectively respond. Target, American panzers, 2,200 meters, Bachmann's gunner reported. What happened in the next 12 minutes would be analyzed by armored warfare theorists for decades, studied in military academies, and become the subject of intense debate about whether one crew's exceptional skill represented an anomaly or validation of American tank doctrine. Poole's crew spotted the German column first. Tucker, the driver, had positioned the Sherman in a hull-down position where only the turret was visible from the German approach route. Poole was using binoculars to scan the tree line when he saw them at 0847:15. Tiger IIs, he announced calmly to his crew. 12 of them, maybe more. Range 2,200. German doctrine at this range was to halt, identify targets, fire from stationary positions. Bachmann's column executed this perfectly. 12 Tigers grinding to coordinated stops. Poole's response violated everything German theorists expected. Driver, back us down. Gunner, load HVAP. Traverse to heading 270. Loader, prep 6 rounds, rapid fire. Bow gunner, watch for infantry. The Sherman disappeared from German view before Bachmann's gunner could acquire the target. At 0847:45, Tucker had backed the Sherman 30 meters into the tree line, then executed a 90-degree turn, repositioning behind a different firing position 150 meters from their original location. German observers would later claim this maneuver took less than 30 seconds. Impossible for a tank, they insisted, until American training films proved Shermans could execute such movements routinely. Poole had calculated angles obsessively during training. The Tiger II's 150 mm frontal armor was impenetrable, but the side armor was 80 mm. At extreme angles, HVAP could potentially penetrate, but only if the shot was perfect. We need them to turn, Poole announced at 0848:00. Tucker, when I give the word, expose us on the left flank. Move laterally, right at full speed. We'll draw their attention. It was suicide by German doctrine, deliberately exposing yourself to a Tiger at medium range. But Poole understood German training. Tigers turned to face threats frontally because their armor made them invincible when facing forward. Now, Poole commanded at 0848:20. Tucker gunned the Ford GAA engine. The Sherman burst from tree cover, moving perpendicular to the German column at 25 miles per hour, faster than German doctrine believed a tank could move accurately. Bachmann's Tiger II turret traversed to engage. The movement was textbook perfect, bringing the main gun to bear while maintaining frontal armor toward the threat. That's when Poole's genius revealed itself. He wasn't targeting Bachmann's lead tank. He was targeting the Tiger second in column, which had also turned its turret to track the racing Sherman, exposing its thinner side armor to Poole's firing position. Fire. Poole commanded at 0848:33. Richards squeezed the trigger. The 76 mm gun barked. The HVAP round covered 1,800 meters in 1.2 seconds and struck the second Tiger II side armor at the turret ring, the junction between turret and hull where armor was thinnest. The penetration was catastrophic. The tungsten core HVAP punched through 80 mm side armor, traversed the crew compartment, and ignited ammunition storage. The Tiger II's turret lifted 3 feet in the air from internal explosion, then crashed back down. Smoke and flames erupted from every hatch. German tankers had never seen a Tiger II destroyed by a Sherman. The psychological impact was immediate and devastating. Before German crews could process what had happened at 0849:00, Poole's Sherman had vanished again. Tucker had reversed into cover after the shot, exactly as they'd practiced thousands of times. German doctrine now demanded caution, investigation, coordinated response. But Barkman was experiencing what German psychologists would later call cognitive override, the absolute conviction that what he'd witnessed was impossible conflicting with the evidence of a burning Tiger II. His response was rage rather than tactics. All units, advance and engage. Kill that Sherman. It was exactly what Poole had predicted. They're coming, he announced to his crew. Positions, everyone. This is what we trained for. The German column broke formation at 0849:30, each Tiger II advancing independently to flush out the Sherman. This violated German doctrine that emphasized coordinated fire, but the crews were experiencing what Poole had intended: fury at seeing their invincible armor destroyed. Poole had studied German tactics obsessively. He knew Tigers hunted in coordinated packs because individual commanders, enclosed in thick armor, had limited visibility. The Tiger II's commander cupola provided only 9 vision blocks. The Sherman had 16 vision devices plus a cupola that could rotate independently of the turret. Poole had positioned his crew at the edge of a wooded area with 3 prepared firing positions at 0850:00. As Tigers advanced separately to search for him, Tucker moved the Sherman between positions every 30 to 45 seconds, fast enough that German crews couldn't track them, slow enough to maintain gunnery accuracy. The third Tiger to die was Barkman's wingman, Tiger 203. It advanced past Poole's second firing position, exposing its rear engine deck with armor only 40 millimeters thick. Target, rear aspect, 900 meters, Richards called out. Fire. The HVAP round penetrated the engine deck and detonated the fuel tanks. The Tiger II became a funeral pyre for its crew within seconds. Now German coordination collapsed completely at 0850:45. Individual Tigers were firing at trees, at shadows, at nothing. Poole's crew had created chaos through speed and precision that German doctrine couldn't counter. Tiger 205 died when it exposed its side armor while traversing rough terrain. Tiger 208 burned when an HVAP round penetrated its turret side during traverse. Tiger 211 was destroyed through the thinner rear turret armor. 6 Tigers destroyed in under 5 minutes by 0852:00. The remaining German crews were experiencing full psychological collapse. Some were retreating. Others were firing blindly. None were coordinating. Poole's Sherman had become a ghost, appearing, firing, vanishing. German crews, trained to engage in set-piece battles from stationary positions, couldn't adapt to this mobile, fluid combat. Tigers 214, 217, and 219 died in rapid succession at 0853:30, each caught while repositioning, each hit in side or rear armor at ranges between 800 and 1,200 meters. Richards was firing with carnival shooter precision, hitting weak points that German designers never anticipated would be exposed to enemy fire. 3 Tigers remained operational at 0855:00. Barkman's Tiger 201 and 2 others were attempting to retreat. German doctrine had no procedure for retreat under fire. Tigers were supposed to be invincible. The final 3 Tigers died within 90 seconds of each other. Poole's crew had achieved something that mathematically shouldn't exist, a 12-to-1 kill ratio in a single engagement, with the inferior tank completely dominating the superior one. Silence descended at 0859:00. 12 Tiger IIs were burning or disabled. Poole's Sherman had expended 47 rounds of HVAP ammunition, scored 12 penetrating hits, and achieved what German armor theorists had declared impossible. Poole keyed his radio. Headhunter, 6, this is Headhunter, 2-3. Enemy armor destroyed, 12 Tigers confirmed. We're Winchester on HVAP, returning to rearm. The response from his battalion commander, Say again, Headhunter, 2-3. Did you say 12 Tigers? Affirmative. 12 Tiger IIs, all destroyed or disabled. There was a long pause. Then, we're sending a confirmation team. Don't move. News of the engagement reached German High Command within hours. The initial response was complete disbelief. 12 Tiger IIs destroyed by a single Sherman? Impossible. It had to be American propaganda, misidentification, or multiple tanks credited to one crew. General Inspector der Panzertruppen Heinz Guderian personally ordered an investigation. A team was sent to interview survivors. There were 8 from 4 different Tigers that had been disabled rather than destroyed, and examine wreckage. The investigation's findings, classified but later captured by American forces, revealed the magnitude of German doctrinal failure. The first finding showed that all destroyed Tigers had been penetrated in side or rear armor, never frontally. American doctrine emphasized maneuver to exploit weak points. German doctrine emphasized frontal invincibility. Against a crew willing to maneuver constantly, German armor advantages disappeared. The second finding revealed that the Sherman had moved 23 times during the engagement, an average of once every 30 seconds. German Tigers couldn't match this repositioning speed. Their doctrine didn't anticipate enemies who refused to fight frontally. The third finding demonstrated that American HVAP ammunition, previously dismissed as ineffective against heavy armor, proved devastating when targeting side and rear armor. German intelligence had failed to account for American willingness to maneuver for better firing angles. The fourth finding showed that the American crew demonstrated coordination levels German doctrine considered impossible. The gunner, loader, and driver functioned as a single organism, executing complex maneuvers while maintaining gunnery accuracy. The fifth finding revealed that German crews had pursued independently rather than maintaining mutual support. The Sherman had isolated and destroyed each Tiger individually, a tactic that shouldn't work against disciplined opponents. But German training emphasized individual tank invincibility rather than coordinated vulnerability management. The report's conclusion was devastating. American tank doctrine has evolved beyond our understanding. They no longer attempt to match our armor or firepower. Instead, they emphasize speed, coordination, and exploitation of geometric advantages. A well-trained American crew in a technically inferior tank can defeat superior German armor through tactical superiority. This represents a fundamental challenge to our armored warfare doctrine. Guderian's response, recorded in his personal diary: "We designed Tigers to be invincible. The Americans designed Shermans to be everywhere. In battle, everywhere defeats invincible." Modern historians debate the details of Poole's engagement. Some claim the 12 Tigers in 12-minute story is exaggerated, that Poole's crew destroyed 9 Tiger IIs and damaged 3 others beyond immediate repair during a 20-minute engagement, not exactly 12 minutes. Others argue the original reports are accurate. What's undisputed is that Staff Sergeant Lafayette Poole's crew destroyed more German armor in a single engagement than any other American tank crew in World War II. The engagement forced German doctrine revision regarding heavy tank employment. Poole's tactics became required study at Fort Knox for post-war tank crews. German survivors consistently reported feeling helpless against an enemy they couldn't track or target effectively. Poole's own after-action report, preserved in the National Archives, provides the most credible account. "We destroyed 9 Tiger IIs, confirmed through visual confirmation of catastrophic kills, fire, explosion, or complete immobilization, with visible crew casualties. 3 additional Tigers were damaged and withdrew from the engagement. Our intelligence later confirmed these were scrapped rather than repaired." The engagement lasted approximately 18 minutes, from first contact to last shot. Our crew fired 47 rounds of 76mm HVAP, achieved 12 penetrations or critical hits, and repositioned 23 times. Our success resulted from training, crew coordination, and enemy doctrinal inflexibility, not from any technical superiority of our tank. The critical lesson, emphasized by Poole in training lectures he gave after being wounded and reassigned to instruction duty, We didn't win because the Sherman was better than the Tiger. We won because we were better than them. 5 Americans who trained together, thought together, and fought together beat 12 Germans who trusted their armor more than each other. Poole's engagement wasn't an isolated miracle. It represented the culmination of American armored doctrine evolution. By December 1944, well-trained American tank crews were regularly achieving results that German doctrine declared impossible. American tank crews averaged 2.3 German armored fighting vehicle kills per Sherman loss in December 1944, a dramatic improvement from the 0.6 ratio in Tunisia during 1943. Well-trained veteran crews averaged 5.1 German kills per loss. Elite crews like Poole's achieved ratios exceeding 10-to-1. Sherman crew survival rates increased from 15% to 85% through training and technical improvements. The transformation came from systematic American improvements. Training duration by late 1944 meant American tank crews trained together for 6 to 12 months before combat, while German replacement crews received 2 to 6 weeks. HVAP ammunition gave Sherman's penetration capability approaching German guns at typical combat ranges of 800 to 1,200 meters. Earlier 75 millimeters guns couldn't threaten heavy armor at any range. American doctrine emphasized maneuver, crew coordination, and exploitation of tactical geometry, which negated German armor advantages. American numbers were overwhelming, with 49,234 Shermans produced. Even at initial unfavorable loss ratios, volume guaranteed American victory. As training improved ratios, German armor faced mathematical extinction. Mechanical reliability favored the Americans dramatically. Shermans required 3.2 hours of maintenance per 100 operational hours. Tigers required 16 hours. Panthers required 25 hours. German crews spent more time repairing than fighting. Poole's engagement became legendary within armored circles, though it remained largely unknown to the public until declassified documents emerged in the 1970s. The engagement influenced post-war tank development profoundly. American doctrine for the M26 Pershing and subsequent American tanks emphasized mobility and crew ergonomics over maximum armor. Poole's success validated the fast, well-crewed medium tank philosophy over slow, heavily armored heavy tank. Soviet observers studying the engagement concluded that crew training and tactical flexibility mattered more than technical specifications. This influenced Soviet emphasis on tank crew training during the Cold War. Post-war German tankers like Otto Carius acknowledged that late-war German doctrine had become inflexible. "We trusted our armor and our guns," Carius wrote in 1960. The Americans trusted their training and their teamwork. In the end, their trust was better placed than ours. Poole's tactics of rapid repositioning, exploitation of terrain, crew coordination, and targeting of enemy weak points remain fundamental to modern armored warfare. The engagement is still studied at Fort Benning, now Fort Moore, and international armor schools. Lafayette Poole survived the war despite being wounded 3 times. He was discharged in 1946, returned to Texas, and died in 1991 at age 72. He rarely spoke about his combat experiences, but when asked about the 12 Tigers engagement by a military historian in 1985, his response summarized American armor doctrine perfectly. "People want to make it about me or about that particular battle. It wasn't. It was about 5 men who trained together until we could think together. It was about American industry giving us a tank that wasn't the biggest or the toughest, but was reliable enough and good enough that training could overcome technical disadvantages. Mostly, it was about proving that in tank warfare, the crew matters more than the machine. The Germans never understood that. They thought better tanks made better crews. We knew better crews made better tanks." By war's end, the statistical reality validated Poole's philosophy and American doctrine. Production numbers told the story. Germany produced 1,347 Tiger I tanks and 489 Tiger II tanks. America produced 49,234 M4 Shermans of all variants. combat effectiveness from December 1944 to May 1945 showed that Tigers and Tiger IIs averaged 4.2 Allied armored fighting vehicle kills before loss. Shermans averaged 1.8 German armored fighting vehicle kills before loss. The net result demonstrated that American numerical superiority of 28 to 1 overwhelmed German technical superiority of 2.3 to 1. Crew survival rates heavily favored American tankers. Tiger crews had a 38% survival rate when their vehicle was destroyed. Sherman crews in late war models with wet storage had an 85% survival rate. The result was clear. American crews learned and improved, while German veterans died faster than they could pass knowledge to replacements. The mathematics of defeat were inescapable. Germany produced 1,836 heavy tanks, Tigers 1 and 2 combined, total. America produced 49,234 Shermans. Even if every Tiger destroyed 10 Shermans before being lost, and they didn't, America would still have 30,874 Shermans remaining. German armor was mathematically extinct regardless of technical superiority. But Poole's engagement proved something more important than numbers. Properly trained American crews in technically adequate machines could defeat technically superior German machines crewed by less trained operators. The multiplication of American training advantages across thousands of crews created tactical superiority that negated German technical advantages. German tankers never laughed at American tin cans after the bulge. Too many of their friends had died in invincible Tigers destroyed by supposedly inferior Shermans. The mockery died with the crews who had believed it. SS Obersturmbannführer Ernst Barkmann survived his Tiger's destruction. He bailed out when Poole's round set his engine ablaze and was captured 2 days later. His interrogation report, preserved in the National Archives, contains this remarkable passage. I was told American tanks were inferior, their crews poorly trained, their tactics defensive. Everything I witnessed contradicted this. The Sherman that destroyed my company moved like a boxer, appearing where least expected, striking precisely, then vanishing. Our Tiger IIs, supposedly invincible, were helpless. We couldn't track him, couldn't predict him, couldn't hit him. Then we were burning. I commanded 43 tank kills before Belgium. I believed German armor doctrine was superior. After that engagement, I understood that we had confused superior technology with superior doctrine. The Americans had inferior tanks, but superior thinking. In war, thinking wins. The engagement's final lesson appeared not in American training manuals, but in a letter Poole wrote to his younger brother, who was considering joining the armored force in 1945. They'll tell you the Sherman is a death trap. They'll say it can't compete with German armor. Don't believe it. I've commanded Shermans for 2 years and killed more enemy armor than most entire companies. The Sherman isn't the best tank in the world, but it's good enough. And with the right crew, good enough beats perfect every time. The Germans built perfect tanks that broke down, that took too long to repair, that required too much training, that couldn't be produced in sufficient numbers. We built good enough tanks that worked, that we could fix quickly, that we could learn to use fast, and that we built by the thousands. Their tankers sit in Tigers and feel invincible. We sit in Shermans and know we're vulnerable. That knowledge makes us careful, makes us clever, makes us work together. 5 men who know they can die and fight like hell to prevent it will always beat 1 man who thinks he can't die. That's what I learned killing Tigers in a tin can. The tin can isn't what matters. What matters is the 5 men inside it who refuse to die. Lafayette G. Poole, Staff Sergeant, U.S. Army, 3rd Armored Division, December 1944. The German tankers had laughed at American tin cans until those tin cans, crewed by exceptionally trained Americans who understood that coordination beat armor and speed beat firepower, destroyed the myth of German armored invincibility 1 burning Tiger at a time. In 12 minutes on a Belgian hillside, 5 Americans in a supposedly inferior tank proved that in modern warfare, the crew's quality matters more than the machine's specifications. The Germans learned this lesson too late, at a cost measured in hundreds of destroyed invincible tanks and thousands of dead crews who had trusted armor more than training. The laughter stopped. The tigers burned. An American doctrine was validated by the one statistic that mattered: who went home and who didn't.